The average American is now carrying over $6,000 in credit card debt, and delinquency rates also on the rise. We talk about this coming up on Business Matters today. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for being here with me. I'm your host, Don Ma. Okay, stocks rallying today. All three major indexes in the green. S&P 500 is up about 2 3/10%. That's its best day since 2022. So the Dow Jones here up over 700 points, and 1 8/10%. And the Nasdaq, look at that, up over 2%, 2.8% to be exact. So let's go on to big companies on the move today. Nvidia up 6%, Tesla up 3 7/10%, Meta up over 4%. So technology company Palantir with a big move today as well, up over 11%. It's announcing a new partnership with Microsoft to sell artificial intelligence capabilities to the US defense and intelligence communities. And Warner Brothers Discovery stock down 9% today, announcing a $9 billion write-down on its cable business after losing NBA media rights. And that loss overshadowing its strong streaming subscriber growth, so Warner stock hitting a 15-year low today. All right, on to drug maker Eli Lilly, up over 9%, fueled by diabetes and weight loss treatments. The drug maker blowing past second quarter expectations. Its diabetes treatment and its weight loss counterpart, Zepbound, accounted for more than $4 billion in sales for the drug maker. And luxury brand Ralph Lauren recovering today. Its stock up about 1.5% after a drop yesterday. Its CEO says higher-end shoppers remain resilient. The company defied softer demand seen by rivals as shoppers pull back on discretionary spending. So Ralph Lauren also got a sales lift from outfitting the U.S. Olympics team. Now, a warning about high public debt levels and the risk of sovereign bonds. This is coming from one of Europe's biggest financial firms and investors. The head of Germany's Allianz said public debt levels are, quote, really scary. He called out the United States by name, Allianz chief executive, saying that investment in sovereign bonds is seen to be risk-free, but he said that is not true. The U.S. national debt hitting $35 trillion this month, with the deficit projected to hit $2 trillion this year alone. And JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon is also concerned about the U.S. debt situation. In a recent interview, he listed as one of the headwinds facing the economy. So JP Morgan now raising the odds of a recession by the end of this year to 35%. That's up from 25%. This comes after a weaker than expected July jobs report and the sharp sell-off in global equities over the unwinding of the yen-funded carry trades. JP Morgan expects the Fed to lower interest rates by at least 100 basis points through the end of this year. But Dimon says that might not influence the fate of the economy as much as people think. Goldman Sachs as well raising its probability of a U.S. recession to 25% for the next 12 months. American budgets are being stretched. A new report shows the average credit card balance is more than $6,000, and people are falling behind on payments. At the same time, new economic data reveals that home equity loan debt is piling up. Today, we take a look at the pitfalls and best practices for using that cash.
For 9 straight quarters, balances on home equity lines of credit rocketing up. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York reporting $4 billion added to that amount last quarter, $40 billion over the last year, totaling $380 billion in outstanding balances. Many Americans have seen serious increases in home value in recent years. On average, U.S. homeowners have more than $200,000 in equity that could be accessed, but prepare to police your spending.
There are no rules about what you do with the money. So when you pull the money out, you can do with it whatever you want. You can go to Vegas, you can go to Disney, or you can hire a contractor to redo your kitchen.
Bankrate's Jeff Ostrowski says there are good reasons to unlock that money, such as renovations to add value to your home or paying down high-interest debt.
Borrow only as much as you need. If the kitchen project is going to be 50 grand, borrow 50 grand.
Be cautious when using that equity for other investments or paying off education loans. With the average rate sitting above 8.5%, there are risks.
It's a little bit risky right now to tap into your home equity for investments. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's probably not the wisest move.
One major red flag, Bankrate reports millennials are more willing to tap into their home's value to fund vacations.
If you have to tap home equity to afford the vacation, you can't really afford the vacation. So if find a cheaper vacation to save some money.
All right, and joining us now is Lawrence Sprung. He's a wealth advisor with Midland Financial. Lawrence, how are you doing today?
I am great, Don. Thanks for having me today.
All right, Lawrence, I'm looking forward to this conversation. So you just heard that people are taking out home equity loans, and Americans owe over $1 trillion on their credit cards. Delinquency rates also on the rise across the board. So in light of that, I'm just curious here. How often do people come to you for help because they're dealing with debt? Is this something common, not common? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so debt is something that we all have to work with and deal with, right? There are pros and cons. There are good ways to use debt and there are bad ways, and we have to understand what each of those are. So through the planning process, this is something we always look to work with our families with. And I think the important thing is that somebody who's in debt has to figure out a way to get out of that debt. And more importantly, how do they stay out of that debt, I think is really crucial to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes again.
And how do people stay out of debt?
So I think the important thing is first to build a budget and figure out how much money is coming into your household each month and how much money is going out, and properly allocate that. First, look at things that are being spent on that perhaps you no longer utilize or need. Get rid of them. You don't need them anymore. Number two, if you've used providers for a prolonged period of time, an alarm company, a cell phone company, telephone company, whatever that may be, go to those providers. They usually run specials for new clients or customers. See if they will give you access to that as a long-standing customer and reduce your rate. I've done that successfully myself. But the important thing is to create that budget, know what's coming in, what's going out, and stick to it.
All right, Lawrence, paint a picture for me here. Let me get a sense of how you're feeling from the people who have come to you, who speak to you. Are you seeing things getting better or not?
I think they are. I don't see things as gloomy as some may paint the picture. Debt is something that will always be out there. And I think there is a delineation between good debt and bad debt, right? If you're ringing up debt to go on a vacation, to buy clothes, furniture, that you don't have that money in the bank, that perhaps is bad debt. But if you're going out and ringing up that debt to do renovations on your home, to increase the value of it, to purchase an education, to potentially increase your earnings over your lifetime, those may be good opportunities to use debt. So I don't think that all debt is created equal and there's good and bad. And I think that things are improving, if not, remaining the same.
Sure, of course. But when people come to you and you give them advice, from all the experience that you've had, is it hard, in your opinion, for a person to change their financial habits?
It absolutely is. It's not something that's going to change overnight or after a couple of, meetings. It's something that you have to be committed to changing over a long period of time and building that habit. If you're somebody who typically drives up debt, utilizes the credit card, and finds yourself in a position where you've accumulated a lot of debt, you have to work with yourself and put in parameters in place to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Now, that's easy for me to say, but we find that those people that put themselves in that situation from the beginning, they have a tendency to continue to do that. So you might have to put extra constraints on yourself if you're that type of person. For example, if you have 8 credit cards, maybe cut them all up and leave one to limit your ability to ring up that debt, because it is hard for you to eliminate and stay out of that trouble zone, but it is so vitally important to your financial future to do so.
So, Lawrence, I'm getting a sense that perhaps debt is one of the common things that people struggle with. Can you give us a sense of what are some of the other things that people may struggle with as well?
Well, I mean, they're the two ends of the spectrum, right? Is building up that debt terrible? Not saving enough for retirement or for your financial future could be equally as detrimental. What you have to do is, in order to find joy in your life, is to find a balance. Find a balance in terms of what can I afford today? What do I need? What do I want? And how much can I put away for the future? So it's important to take into account living life today and getting some enjoyment, because many of us don't have the luxury of living till retirement. Some of us won't make it that far. So we have to balance living with today and managing that budget from a financial standpoint, not to ring up a lot of debt, and at the same time put money away for our future so that we don't have to be working our entire lives and potentially working off debt our entire lives either.
All right, Lawrence, great advice. Always great speaking with you. All right, moving on from that, mortgage rates are now at a 15-month low on anticipation. The Federal Reserve will start cutting rates later this year, and this could help the housing market and the overall economy. There's an economic disturbance, though, known as mortgage rate lock-in. So that's when home borrowers choose to stay in their current homes rather than taking out more expensive mortgages, so mortgages that have a higher interest rate than they're currently paying. During the pandemic, many bought or refinanced homes at rock bottom rates, and government data now estimating that rate lock cost the U.S. economy $20 billion from the end of 2022 and into 2023. And researchers estimating that during that time, 800,000 people would have moved, but didn't. Now, some company news today. The Global Alliance for Responsible Media, or GARM, announced that it is calling it quits. And this comes after Elon Musk's social media platform X sued the organization. So the suit alleges that GARM illegally colluded to, quote, collectively withhold billions of dollars in advertising revenue from X. Musk called the effort an attack on free speech. So GARM is an initiative launched by the advertising trade group, the World Federation of Advertisers, in 2019. Published reports say that the head of the World Federation of Advertisers emailed workers today informing them of the decision. The group's CEO says it will fight the allegations, but as a nonprofit, its resources are limited. Now, Delta Airlines today warning of a $380 million hit to its revenue from last month's global tech outage. A software update last month by global cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike triggered system problems for Microsoft customers, including many airlines. The disruptions persisted at Delta even as they subsided the next day at other major U.S. carriers. The Atlanta-based carrier canceled about 7,000 flights over the 5 days, stranding hundreds of thousands of travelers. Delta also faces an investigation from the U.S. Transportation Department for the disruptions. Now, Boeing's new CEO, Kelly Ortberg, who is he, and can he save the American manufacturing icon from its current crisis? Here are the details.
Boeing is in crisis. Its losses have tripled. 2 planes and a door have fallen from the sky. $8 billion burned in 6 months. Its reputation as an American manufacturing icon in shambles. Boeing has placed turnaround hopes in new CEO Kelly Ortberg, former head of aerospace manufacturer Rockwell Collins.
Kelly is an excellent fit with their needs. Boeing's number one challenge is to change its culture and change its value system. Kelly's value system is very much aligned with that needed change.
Aerospace consultant Kevin Michaels has known Ortberg for 25 years, working alongside him at Rockwell Collins. He says Boeing has been focused on investors for the past 25 years, everything else being a distant second. Michaels says Ortberg focuses on the product.
He believes that it is important to first please the customer with a safe and innovative product, to take great care of the employees, to do well in customer satisfaction surveys.
Ortberg grew up in Iowa, where he studied mechanical engineering at the University of Iowa. He says he liked the TV show The Wonder Years, about a teenager growing up in suburban middle-class America in the 1960s. Ortberg says the show taught him you need to work hard to earn your keep, and reminded him of his own childhood. Ortberg's career began as an engineer at Texas Instruments in 1983. He joined Rockwell Collins in 1987, climbing the ranks to become CEO in 2013. Rockwell Collins makes airplane electrical systems. At the firm, he developed a reputation of walking factory floors and getting to know employees.
He is very collaborative. He does not carry a huge ego. He likes to be in the trenches. The fact that he is moving to Seattle and today, in fact, is on the shop floor is indicative of a different style.
Michael says Ortberg's method is to get the facts, work closely with stakeholders, hear all sides, and act decisively. He expects Ortberg to be walking the factory floor very often.
All right, let's take a break now. Coming up, the United States overtaking China as Germany's biggest trading partner, and this is as Berlin reduces dependency on Beijing. And we show you the world's largest 3D printed neighborhood in Texas right after this break. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back. Today's top headline: stocks rallying today, setting up a positive end to the week. Markets have been volatile this week after iffy economic data and the unwinding of a popular Japanese yen carry trade. S&P 500 today lodging its best day since 2022. And former President Donald Trump calling for 3 debates against presumptive Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. Trump making his first appearance since Harris chose Tim Walz as her running mate. The former president says his year has pretty much fully healed since the assassination attempt. And Kelly Ortberg takes the helm as Boeing's new CEO. He comes on board just as the company faces mounting losses, multiple investigations, and a damaged reputation. The U.S. has leapfrogged China as Germany's biggest trading partner. Preliminary data in Germany showing that the U.S. snagged the top spot in the first half of the year, and Berlin has been working to reduce its dependence on and exposure to Beijing, citing political differences and accusing Beijing of unfair practices. German imports and exports to the U.S. totaled about $139 billion from January to June. China, on the other hand, was closer to $133 billion. And the U.S. has cut off imports from 5 more Chinese companies over alleged human rights abuses involving the Uyghurs, according to a government post. This restricts imports tied to what the U.S. government characterizes as ongoing genocide of minorities in China's Xinjiang region. The companies include Rare Earth Magnesium Technology Group Holdings and its parent, and Century Sunshine Group Holdings. The companies did not immediately reply to requests for comment. Meanwhile, China continues to struggle with an aging population. And to put that into perspective for you, the severity of the situation, in just 6 short years, China is likely to have twice as many as urban pets than children 4 years old and younger. So this is according to Goldman Sachs. The U.S. bank does research on the pet food market in China. So more and more young people in China are choosing not to start families due to various reasons, including financial constraints. Some say, rather, a pet is much easier and cheaper than raising a child. Okay, moving on from China news. This summer, a giant robotic printer is set to finish the last of 100 3D printed houses in Texas community. Some homeowners already appreciate how thick the concrete walls keep their living area cool in the brutal Texas heat. Take a look at this.
This giant 45-foot wide 3D printer is building the world's largest printed community. That's the claim of Icon, a construction company that is close to finishing the walls of its 100th home in Georgetown, Texas, where its nearly 5-ton 3D printer, Vulcan, is churning out homes at a rapid pace.
One layer at a time, Vulcan prints a full house. It goes from the front of the slab to the back for one layer, and for these homes in particular, after 10 feet of printing in a few days, you have the wall system for a house.
After concrete powder, water, sand, and other additives are pumped into the printer, a nozzle spits out layer after layer of the concrete mixture.
Our different layers provide this kind of corduroy effect, which can actually be really soft and be a great experience for homeowners.
Homeowners Angela Hontus and Lawrence Nurzad said the walls keep the house cool, quiet, and resilient in extreme weather.
The concrete floors are very cool, literally, and the quietness. We're right next to a bypass and you can't hear anything, so it's very quiet.
But Nurzad says the thick walls can make Wi-Fi access a challenge.
Obviously, these are really strong, thick walls, and that's what, provides a lot of value for us as a homeowner and keeps this thing really well insulated in a Texas summer. But signal doesn't transfer through these walls very well. So we're still kind of in the hunt for a network situation that will work for us given the home's length.
The homes in this 3D printed community range from 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, and they're less expensive than traditionally constructed homes, costing anywhere from $450,000 to $600,000. Icon is already looking toward its next venture, and it's shooting for the moon after NASA contracted Icon to develop a construction system capable of building landing pads, shelters, and other structures on the lunar surface.
All right, listen up. Millennials who grew up with the iconic Polly Pocket toy will be interested in this next story. Now, Polly Pocket is becoming an Airbnb host. The 90s era icon is opening a life-size 2-story compact in Littleton, Massachusetts. The 42-foot tall home is full of nostalgia. Guests can get comfortable watching a movie on the couch or head to the life-sized action park tent just 10 feet away. The Airbnb is open to guests for single night stays from September 12th to the 14th. It costs $89 per person. All right, and that is all the stories we have for you today on Business Matters. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any feedback for the episode, please feel free to let me know. You can email us at business@ntd.com or leave a comment online. I do read them. And don't forget, Business Matters. We'll see you back here tomorrow.